We often think of the digital world as something separate from real life, as if what happens behind screens belongs to a different realm with different rules. A comment disappears into the feed, a click vanishes into data, a moment of scrolling feels harmless and weightless. Yet from the perspective of early Buddhist wisdom, nothing that arises through intention is ever without consequence. The Buddha did not speak of karma as fate, punishment, or cosmic reward. In the Pāli Canon, karma is defined very precisely and very simply as intention. Satanya bhikkhave kama vadami. It is intention, monks, that I call karma. Wherever intention is present, karma is already unfolding. When we enter the digital space, intention does not disappear. It becomes multiplied. Every click carries an impulse, every share expresses a preference, every reaction reveals a subtle movement of desire, aversion, or ignorance. The algorithm does not create karma, but it responds to it. It observes intention at a scale never before possible in human history, recording patterns of attraction and resistance, amplifying them, and feeding them back to us in refined form. What we attend to becomes what we are shown. What we react to becomes what returns. In this sense, the digital world is not neutral. It is a karmic mirror that reflects our mental habits with astonishing speed and precision. In traditional Buddhist teaching, karma leaves traces in the mind. Repeated intentions shape tendencies, and tendencies shape future perception. The digital environment externalizes this process. Psychological imprints form as habits of attention: what excites us, what angers us, what soothes us, what we seek to escape. Social imprints form as reputation and influence: how we are perceived, how we shape others' views, how words ripple outward beyond our control. Structural imprints form as algorithms learn from collective behavior, gradually shaping the informational environment that millions of minds inhabit. These layers interweave into a vast, invisible web of cause and effect, one that no single individual controls, yet everyone contributes to. This is why the digital age can feel strangely overwhelming. It is not merely the volume of information, but the intensity of karmic feedback. In earlier times, the results of intention unfolded slowly, often privately. Today, intention can echo instantly across networks, provoking reactions, reinforcing identities, and locking minds into cycles of stimulation and response. A moment of careless speech can inflame thousands. A moment of mindful restraint can quietly dissolve conflict before it begins. The scale has changed, but the principle has not. From a Buddhist perspective, the most important question is not whether technology is good or bad. The question is whether awareness is present. Without awareness, the digital environment strengthens craving and confusion. With awareness, it becomes a powerful field of practice. Each moment online becomes an opportunity to observe intention as it arises. Why am I clicking this? What feeling drives this reaction? Is this motivated by curiosity, fear, anger, or compassion? In asking these questions, we step out of automatic conditioning and return to responsibility. The illusion of the digital world is that it seems passive. We feel as though content simply arrives, as though we are being entertained, informed, or distracted by forces outside ourselves. But karma teaches the opposite. We are always participating. We are always co-creating the field we inhabit. The algorithm responds because something in us responded first. Attention is never neutral. It is a vote cast repeatedly for a certain kind of mind, a certain kind of world. So when we scroll, a deeper inquiry emerges. Are we shaping the digital environment through conscious intention, or are we allowing unexamined habits to shape us in return? In the age of algorithms, this question is no longer philosophical. It is practical, immediate, and deeply personal. To navigate digital karma wisely, we must first see that we are never outside the web. We are threads within it, weaving the future of our own minds moment by moment. More than 2,000 years ago, the Buddha described 5 forces that cloud the mind and obstruct clarity. He called them dhanvara, the 5 hindrances. They are not sins, not moral failings, but psychological conditions that weaken discernment and drain inner stability. When we examine the architecture of today's digital world, it becomes strikingly clear that these ancient hindrances are not relics of the past. They are the very energies that fuel the modern attention economy. Technology did not invent them. It refined them, amplified them, and scaled them to a global level. The first hindrance is sensual desire, kama-kanda, the restless pull toward pleasurable stimulation. In earlier times, sensual desire required effort, travel, acquisition, physical proximity. Today it requires only a thumb movement. Endless images, endless videos, endless novelty stream before the eyes. The mind becomes conditioned to expect constant stimulation, subtle excitement, the small surge of dopamine that accompanies something new. What once would have satisfied for a day now satisfies for seconds. The nervous system adapts, craving more intensity, more frequency, more variety. This is not merely entertainment, it is the training of desire. The more we indulge unexamined craving, the more the baseline of contentment drops. Silence feels boring. Stillness feels empty. Ordinary life feels insufficient compared to the curated brilliance of digital fantasy. The second hindrance is ill will, vyapada, the contraction of the heart into irritation, resentment, and hostility. In the digital sphere, outrage travels faster than kindness. Anger generates engagement. Engagement generates visibility. Visibility generates profit. Algorithms quickly learn that strong emotional reactions keep users active, and so feeds subtly tilt toward content that provokes. A controversial headline. A polarizing opinion. A comment designed to inflame. Without awareness, the mind becomes reactive, eager to defend identity, eager to attack perceived threats. Ill will becomes habitual, almost addictive. The comment section transforms into a battlefield where strangers project their unresolved frustrations onto one another. What the Buddha described as a hindrance of the mind becomes an entire economic engine. The third hindrance, sloth and torpor, thinamida, appears paradoxical in an age of constant stimulation. How can dullness coexist with endless activity? Yet observe carefully. After prolonged scrolling, the mind does not feel energized. It feels heavy, foggy, strangely fatigued. Attention fragments. Depth disappears. One consumes vast amounts of information without truly digesting any of it. This is not restful calm, it is passive absorption. The body remains still while the mind drifts in a half-awake trance, neither fully engaged nor fully aware. Hours pass unnoticed. When finally the device is put down, there is often a subtle sense of depletion, as though something vital has been drained. Then there is restlessness and worry, adhakakakaka, perhaps the most obvious companion of the digital age. Notifications interrupt silence. Messages demand response. News updates signal potential danger somewhere in the world at every moment. Even in the absence of alerts, the mind anticipates them. A subtle tension arises. What am I missing? Who has responded? What has changed? This is not the restlessness of physical movement, but the agitation of mental anticipation. The nervous system becomes conditioned to expect interruption. True stillness feels uncomfortable because it lacks the familiar pulse of incoming stimulation. The mind jumps from platform to platform, from topic to topic, rarely settling long enough to see clearly. Finally, doubt, vicikiccha, spreads quietly through the digital landscape. Information floods in from countless sources, many contradictory, many unverified. Trust erodes. Confusion grows. Conspiracy theories proliferate alongside legitimate inquiry. The sheer volume of data can paralyze discernment. When everything claims authority, certainty becomes elusive. This doubt is not healthy skepticism rooted in wisdom. It is destabilizing uncertainty that weakens confidence in truth itself. The mind begins to question not out of clarity, but out of disorientation. When these 5 hindrances operate simultaneously, the result is a mind that is stimulated yet unsatisfied, connected yet divided, informed yet confused. The brilliance of modern technology is that it aligns perfectly with the vulnerabilities of the untrained mind. The Buddha's analysis was psychological, not technological. He described universal tendencies that arise wherever craving and ignorance are present. The digital world simply provides continuous triggers that activate them. Yet recognizing this is not cause for despair. It is the beginning of wisdom. If the 5 hindrances are active online, then the path of liberation is also available there. The same awareness that observes desire in meditation can observe desire while scrolling. The same patience that softens ill will in daily life can soften it before typing a reply. The same energy that overcomes sloth on the cushion can be applied when attention drifts into mindless consumption. The same calming of restlessness practiced in silence can be cultivated amid notifications. The same investigation that resolves doubt and study can cut through digital confusion. The Buddha did not teach in a world of smartphones, but he taught about the structure of the mind. And the structure has not changed. What has changed is the speed and scale at which hindrances are triggered. In the age of infinite scroll, the battlefield is not somewhere outside us. It is the moment-to-moment movement of attention. When we begin to see the 5 hindrances operating within our digital habits, the screen transforms from a source of distraction into a mirror of the mind. In the early teachings of the Buddha, one of the most profound insights is the principle of dependent origination, Pāli Canon. It describes not a creation myth, not a metaphysical theory, but a living process. This arises, that arises. With the cessation of this, that ceases. Experience is not random, nor is it controlled by a permanent self. It unfolds through conditions. Contact gives rise to feeling. Feeling conditions craving. Craving conditions clinging. Clinging conditions becoming. Becoming conditions further experience. This chain operates quietly beneath the surface of daily life, shaping perception, reaction, and identity moment by moment. In the digital age, this ancient map becomes startlingly visible. A notification appears on the screen. That is contact. The eyes see, the ears hear, the mind recognizes. Immediately, a feeling tone arises. Perhaps pleasant anticipation. Perhaps mild irritation. Perhaps anxiety. That feeling conditions craving, the urge to check, to know, to respond. Craving becomes clinging when the mind identifies. This matters to me, this concerns me, this reflects me. From clinging comes becoming, the assumption of a role. I am the offended one. I am the supporter. I am the expert. I am the victim. And from that becoming flows speech, action, further contact, further reactions. A simple notification can unfold into an hour lost, an argument ignited, an identity reinforced. The algorithm functions as an externalized system of conditioning. It tracks patterns of contact and feeling. It learns what captures attention, what prolongs engagement, what intensifies reaction. But it does not implant desire into the mind. It only amplifies what is already present. If craving arises frequently, the system supplies more objects of craving. If anger generates strong engagement, more provocative content appears. In this way, the algorithm becomes a mirror that not only reflects conditioning but accelerates it. The loop tightens. Contact becomes more frequent. Feeling becomes more intense. Craving becomes more automatic. One of the most subtle aspects of dependent origination is becoming bhava. We do not simply experience the world. We become someone in relation to it. Identity is not fixed. It is constructed repeatedly through attachment. In the digital environment, this process is constant. Profiles, curated feeds, public expressions of opinion, these reinforce a sense of self built from repeated patterns of attention. If one consistently consumes content of a certain kind, one gradually inhabits the worldview that accompanies it. If one repeatedly engages in certain forms of discourse, those tones become natural. We become what we repeatedly attend to. This is why the question of freedom becomes urgent. It feels as though we are choosing what to watch, what to read, what to support. And at one level, we are. But the deeper inquiry is this: what conditions those choices? Are they arising from clarity, or from unconscious craving and aversion? If the mind is already inclined towards stimulation, the algorithm merely offers more stimulation. If the mind seeks validation, the system provides metrics, likes, shares, comments, that quantify approval. The illusion is that the technology controls us. The deeper truth is more subtle. Unexamined mental tendencies align with algorithmic design, and together they reinforce each other. The Buddha's teaching was not about escaping conditions, but about understanding them. When ignorance is present, the chain of dependent origination runs automatically. When awareness is present, the chain can be interrupted. Contact still occurs. Feeling still arises. But craving need not follow. There can be feeling without grasping, perception without identification. In the context of digital life, this means that a notification can be seen simply as a notification. A provocative headline can be recognized as stimulation without being consumed by it. The space between contact and reaction, though small, is the birthplace of freedom. Awareness does not fight the algorithm. It sees clearly how conditioning operates. When one notices the subtle surge of anticipation before opening an app, that noticing weakens the automatic pull. When one observes irritation forming before typing a response, that observation introduces choice. The chain is no longer invisible. It becomes experiential knowledge. And with knowledge comes responsibility. The real struggle of the algorithmic age is not human versus machine. It is awareness versus unconscious conditioning. Technology will continue to evolve, becoming more predictive, more immersive, more persuasive. But the fundamental structure of the mind remains the same as it was in ancient India. Contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming. If we do not understand this structure, we will be swept along by it, mistaking compulsion for preference and reactivity for authenticity. Yet if we understand it deeply, the digital world becomes a profound teacher. Each impulse to check, each emotional reaction, each moment of identification reveals the living chain of dependent origination. Instead of asking whether the algorithm governs the mind, we begin to ask a more precise question. In this moment, is awareness present? If awareness is present, conditioning weakens. If conditioning weakens, freedom grows. The algorithm may predict behavior, but awareness can transform it. And in that quiet transformation lies the true revolution of the digital age. In recent years, the word mindfulness has become popular across the world. It appears in corporate trainings, productivity systems, wellness apps, and stress reduction programs. Yet the original Pāli word sati carries a depth that goes far beyond relaxed attention or present moment awareness. Sati literally means remembrance, not remembering the past, but remembering what is true. It is the continuous recollection of Dhamma, the steady remembering of what leads to suffering and what leads to freedom. Without this dimension of wisdom, attention alone is not enough. One can be fully attentive while consumed by craving. One can be intensely focused while driven by anger. Sati is not mere concentration. It is lucid awareness guided by ethical clarity. In the digital world, attention is constantly fragmented. Feeds are designed to interrupt, to redirect, to capture. The mind jumps rapidly from image to image, topic to topic, emotion to emotion. This fragmentation weakens continuity of awareness. One forgets oneself. One forgets intention. One forgets the deeper aim of living wisely. Digital sati begins precisely at this point of forgetting. It is the gentle but firm return to remembrance. Why am I here? What am I doing? What state of mind is present right now? Before posting a comment, there is a moment, often brief, in which intention forms. Without sati, that moment passes unnoticed, and speech flows directly from impulse. With sati, intention becomes visible. Is this motivated by kindness or by irritation? Is this meant to clarify or to provoke? Is this necessary, or is it an attempt to seek validation? The Buddha's teaching on right speech, samavaka, becomes profoundly relevant in online communication. Speech should be truthful, beneficial, timely, and rooted in goodwill. In the digital age, words travel farther and faster than ever before. A single careless sentence can echo indefinitely. To practice sati online is to pause long enough to feel the weight of that responsibility. There is also the moment before clicking. A subtle feeling tone arises, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Perhaps boredom seeks stimulation. Perhaps loneliness seeks connection. Perhaps anxiety seeks distraction. If sati is absent, the click happens automatically. If sati is present, the feeling itself becomes the object of awareness. Instead of immediately feeding craving, one observes it. This observation does not suppress desire through force. It simply illuminates it. And when illuminated, craving loses some of its power. The hand may still move, but it moves with knowledge rather than compulsion. Even disagreement can become practice. The digital sphere often amplifies polarization, encouraging quick reactions and simplified judgments. But with sati, encountering opposing views becomes an opportunity to observe the tightening of the chest, the quickening of thought. The urge to defend identity. Rather than immediately reacting, one can breathe. Not as a technique for productivity, but as a return to presence. 3 conscious breaths before responding can transform the entire trajectory of a conversation. In that small pause, ill will may soften into curiosity. Certainty may soften into humility. Silence, too, becomes meaningful. In a culture that rewards constant output, choosing not to respond is sometimes the most skillful action. The Buddha often remained silent when questions were rooted in confusion or hostility. Silence was not avoidance. It was wisdom recognizing that not all speech leads to clarity. Online, restraint can be revolutionary. To refrain from sharing unverified information, to avoid participating in outrage. To step back from escalating conflict, these are acts of digital ethics grounded in sati. Practical discipline supports this awareness. Setting intentional times for digital engagement prevents constant intrusion. Turning off non-essential notifications reduces unnecessary contact that triggers craving. Periodic digital fasting, even brief intervals without screens, allows the nervous system to recalibrate and the mind to rediscover stillness. These are not rigid rules but supports for remembrance. Without structure, habit easily dominates. With structure, awareness has space to grow. Ultimately, digital sati is not about rejecting technology. It is about transforming the way we inhabit it. The screen itself is not the obstacle. Forgetfulness is. When we forget intention, we are carried by the current of conditioning. When we remember, even the most ordinary online interaction becomes practice. Each post becomes an opportunity for right speech. Each click becomes an opportunity to observe craving. Each moment of irritation becomes an opportunity for patience. In a fragmented world, sati gathers the scattered mind and returns it to wholeness. It reconnects attention with wisdom. And when wisdom guides attention, the digital landscape shifts from being a field of distraction to being a field of awakening. The same platforms that amplify confusion can become arenas for compassion. The same networks that spread anger can carry understanding. But this transformation does not begin with systems. It begins with remembrance, quiet, steady, and deliberate, in the heart of the one who is watching the screen. When we speak of karma, it is easy to think only in individual terms, my actions, my intentions, my consequences. But the Buddha also spoke of collective conditions. Communities generate shared patterns of behavior. Cultures cultivate certain tendencies while neglecting others. In the digital age, this collective dimension of karma has become visible in unprecedented ways. The online world is not merely a collection of isolated users. It is a shared mental environment shaped by millions of intentions interacting simultaneously. Every post contributes to its tone. Every reaction strengthens certain patterns. Every silence allows something else to grow. The architecture of modern platforms often rewards speed over reflection, intensity over nuance, outrage over patience. When many individuals act from craving or ill will, these tendencies accumulate into a culture. Anger becomes normalized. Sarcasm becomes currency. Shallow stimulation becomes the default rhythm of attention. This is not because humanity is inherently corrupt, nor because technology is inherently evil. It is because collective karma follows the same principle as individual karma. Repeated intentions crystallize into patterns. And patterns, once stabilized, begin to shape those who enter them. Yet if collective karma can incline toward confusion, it can also incline toward wisdom. The same networks that transmit misinformation can transmit insight. The same algorithms that amplify hostility can amplify generosity if enough people feed them different seeds. While no single individual controls the system, every individual influences it. A compassionate response in a heated discussion does more than resolve one argument. It subtly shifts the tone of the space. Sharing thoughtful, well-considered content does more than inform. It strengthens depth in a culture prone to superficiality. Choosing not to participate in outrage weakens its momentum. There is something deeply aligned with the Bodhisattva spirit in this understanding. Though the Bodhisattva ideal developed later in Buddhist history, its essence is already present in the early teachings. The recognition that one's own liberation is inseparable from the well-being of others. In the digital age, this insight becomes practical. We are constantly influencing the mental atmosphere others inhabit. A careless post may agitate thousands. A patient clarification may calm them. The field of practice is no longer limited to physical proximity. It extends globally. To navigate digital karma wisely, then, is not only to protect one's own mind but to consider the wider impact of one's participation. Before sharing something provocative, one can ask, does this contribute to understanding or merely intensify division? Before forwarding unverified news, one can ask, am I spreading clarity or confusion? Before joining collective outrage, one can ask, is this rooted in compassion or in the pleasure of being right? These questions are not moralistic constraints. They are reflections of interdependence. The shift from consumption to contribution is crucial. Much of digital life encourages passive intake, scrolling, reacting, absorbing. But when we remember karma, we recognize that we are always planting seeds. If we consume negativity repeatedly, we strengthen it internally and externally. If we contribute wisdom, patience, and kindness, we nourish those qualities both within ourselves and within the network. The digital world becomes a vast garden of intentions. What grows depends on what is planted consistently. There is also humility in this perspective. No one can single-handedly purify the internet, just as no one can eliminate suffering from the world alone. But each person can tend their corner of the field. Each person can refine their intention. And refined intention has ripple effects beyond what can be measured in metrics. The deepest transformations are not always visible through likes or shares. They occur quietly in the minds of those who encounter integrity and are subtly influenced by it. As technology continues to evolve, becoming more immersive and more persuasive, the urgency of conscious participation will only increase. Artificial intelligence may optimize engagement, but it cannot replace ethical discernment. Predictive systems may anticipate behavior, but they cannot generate wisdom. That remains a human responsibility. The greatest revolution in the algorithmic age will not be a faster processor or a smarter feed. It will be the awakening of intention in the midst of complexity. Every click is karma. Every comment is intention made visible. Every moment of awareness interrupts an ancient chain of reactivity and opens the possibility of freedom. We are not powerless within the web of conditions. We are threads within it, capable of weaving patterns of clarity or confusion. When enough threads align toward wisdom, the texture of the whole begins to change. In the end, navigating digital karma is not about escaping technology. It is about remembering who governs the mind. The algorithm may shape what appears on the screen, but awareness shapes how we respond. And in that response lies the future, not only of our individual peace, but of the shared digital world we are building together. Moment by intentional moment.